We're 6 days away from the NBA draft. Are you excited? Come on. No? You're not excited? Neither am I. But I do find one element to this mildly interesting. And so that's what I'm going to focus on. It's coming up this Wednesday. This is our Thursday show, where I know on the West Coast we're heading into Thursday. It's still late Wednesday night, but we're heading into Thursday, and so we're 6 days away. This coming Wednesday, the flag is up on the NBA draft. The Atlanta Hawks are on the clock with the number 1 overall pick, but the noise continues to be about a backup. Not a starter, a backup for a bad college basketball team in the University of Southern California, that Big Ten, not juggernaut. No. This goes way back to in the old Pac-12 back in the day. But is there some deplorable activity going on behind the scenes, a grand conspiracy, if you will, for a father-son duo to don the court? So if you haven't heard the latest on this, and perhaps you missed it because you actually have a life, I'll fill in the blanks here. So we have learned that the agent for not only LeBron but also Scrawny Bronny says the father in this little ditty and the son are not a package deal. They're not. They're heading into the draft. Now, Rich Paul, you talk about winning the lottery. Rich Paul claims that LeBron James is off the idea that he had openly discussed for years that he wants to play with his kid, Bronny. And according to the spokes hack for LeBron, he said, Rich Paul, if he does, he does, but if he doesn't, he doesn't, okay? That's like saying it is what it is. It be what it be. All right, anyway, he says if he does, he does. If he doesn't, he doesn't. There's no deal made. Rich Paul stated that it is guaranteed that if the Lakers draft Bronny, at pick number 55, LeBron will re-sign. Yeah, right? If that was the case, then Rich Paul said, I would force them, the Lakers, to take him at number 17. That's not off the table at this point, from what I've heard. He says the LeBron James family does not need leverage. No leverage. They don't need it. The Lakers can draft Bronny, he said, and LeBron doesn't re-sign. Now, Rich Paul also later on said that LeBron is not going to go to Phoenix on a minimum deal. He didn't say LeBron's not going to Phoenix. He just said LeBron will not sign for the minimum contract. That was his comments. He can squash that. So let us discuss. A lot to unpack here. The question. Let's get to the meat of the matter. Rich Paul says LeBron James and Scrawny Bronny are not a package deal. Do you believe the agent? So I've got Tony Sperano, box office, and criminal indictment. And we'll combine all of these things together, and we're going to make the amazing dish of spaghetti and meatballs. Spaghetti and meatballs. It's kind of like the Bron and Bronny, right? Spaghetti, meatballs, peanut butter, and jelly. But we are agnostic on this one. We are agnostic. LeBron and Bronny, side by side, is good theater for the NBA. The NBA is in the theater business. They're in the show business, and that makes sense. Even though Bronny has no business being drafted, right? The guy sucks. But speaking of sucking, you have to be a total rube if you believe there is no funny business going on right now behind the scenes. And if you're that person that thinks, oh, no, this is all on the up and up, then the village is missing their idiot. Okay, they are. If you look at the clues, the Lakers are this close. You can't see my fingers, but they're this close to hiring LeBron's podcast pal as coach, who also has no business coaching in the NBA. So why would they do that if LeBron was going to leave? So what's really going on here? Well, here's what we believe is going on. As I understand it, LeBron is working the back channels here. Tony Soprano style, right? The Sopranos back in the day, like a mob boss, flexing his influence, hobnobbing with who he needs to hobnob with, the executive by proxy. But he always has plausible deniability. So, well, I'm not the GM. I'm not the owner. Okay. But he is the puppeteer. And Bronny James, again, this guy, have you seen what he did, both the eyeball test and the statistics? Oh, my God. I mean, maybe he can get a job playing overseas somewhere because of his dad. That's what should happen. But it's nepotism. Happens in Hollywood, happens in sports, and you can change my mind if you want. But, my goodness, terrible. All right, now, we turn the page to the, as my old mentor said back in the day, the high-speed sports wire. And we are hearing now Pascal Siakam. Got to be careful how I say that name because of one of our callers from Brooklyn. But Pascal Siakam is set to ink a 4-year, $189 million max extension with the Indiana basketball team. That's going to happen next month. Siakam can't sign the deal till July 6th. He's talking about first world problems. That's when the free agency moratorium period ends, which for some reason the NBA still has. Now Siakam is going to get that almost $190 million max contract with the Pacers. Is he worth that kind of investment, that kind of capital? Well, I am a believer you are worth what you can get, and this is what he can get. The better question, though, is will the Siakam-led Pacers find more playoff glory? And the answer to that is unlikely. Feeling pretty good, right? They're smelling themselves a little bit. A very fortuitous playoff run here, a fluky year for the Pacers. Pascal Siakam, here's the way I would describe him. He's a good co-star. He's a good co-star. He's not a leading man. And my issue with this, and it's not my money, it's his money, good for him, and the Pacers clearly think he can produce for them, but it's the BOE. It's the box office and the eyeballs. Doesn't sell tickets. Nobody said, I got to go out and see Team X because Pascal Siakam's on the team. So that doesn't happen. And I don't know any man, woman, or child other than DNA relations who's like, I got to watch the game over there. I'm going to turn that game on because Pascal Siakam's playing. He's a solid player. It doesn't really help the business in terms of money. He doesn't generate money for you. He's certainly making a lot of money. It's just not spectacular. All right, last word here. We go to TV land, and that is where the report card is in. The 2024 NBA playoffs saw the downward dog, or in this case, the downward dive, a significant reduction in consumers shopping at the store. The viewership compared to last year, 2023, down. The ratings dropped 11%. Overall viewership, I saw, was like 12% down. So who's to blame? Who's to blame for the NBA Finals of 2024, the ratings decline? So this is rather simple. It's not that difficult. It is a straw poll. It is a how popular are you contest, pulse of the people, and the people have spoken. And they have determined that you ain't it. All right, you got your little trophy. Congratulations. But it is a criminal indictment of the faux stars, the bumbling of the bag, the audience bag here. Now, Jason Tatum has a lot of endorsements. I go to the store and I see his face on potato chips and all kinds of other crap. But Jason Tatum, despite all of that, he is also not appointment viewing. And Jaylen Brown, for all of his trophies that he won this postseason, he doesn't bring the boys to the yard. He does not bring the audience there. And then you've got Luka Doncic, international man of mystery, all-time great player. Well, it does appear that he does not play well in Peoria. That's a problem. You got to play well in Peoria. And even the flat earther bad guy, who I was so happy I almost overdosed in Schadenfreude, watching him go down and being unable to handle the fans in Boston and melting under the immense pressure and the bright lights of the hecklers throwing raspberries his direction. Flat earther Kyrie Irving and all of his kookiness did not budge the needle. So that is all of it. Indictment for Tatum, Brown, Doncic, and Irving. And remember, that's the matchup TV wanted. When we got to the Final Four, that's who they wanted to play. It would have been a doomsday scenario if it had been Indiana and Minnesota. They wanted that matchup. They got the matchup they wanted at the Final Four point, and it still crumbled in their hands.